Hello all and welcome to episode 54 of the Green Arrow, an FPL podcast by Fantasy Football Hub as double game week 27 reaches its conclusion and we look ahead to a seemingly now non-double game week 28, the first single game week in what seems like absolutely ages. We have just finished watching Man City trounce Southampton, yet frustratingly concede yet again. My name is Fergie. And a big welcome to my co-host, Adam Hopcroft. Adam, I'm not going to ask you what colour your arrow is in FPL Game Week 27. I have held off long enough. I'm going to let the violin do it for you. Adam, what can I say? It's been coming and the violin is out with bells on after yet another disastrous week. However, I'm actually joining you this week in our disaster week, so I'm going to play the violin for me as well. After all this time, we've both had red arrows. What an absolute nightmare, but there we go. Welcome, Adam. Sorry about that. I had to get it. I had to make a bit of an effort, especially after your captain Diaz clean sheet went after about, what was it, like a few minutes, wasn't it? But
wow,
what a game week.
2 minutes on Sunday. And was it about 20-30 minutes tonight? So yeah, it's not been a good game week at all. It was a strange week. So I've only watched one match this week, and that was the Villa match. And part of the reason was that I think I probably got a bit fed up with the football, a bit fed up with the games dragging out. So I thought what I'll do is I'll watch Match of the Day. I don't know if I will watch Match of the Day on Saturday, but I didn't check I didn't watch any of the matches on Saturday, and then Sunday I went the whole day without watching any of the matches, and then watched Match of the Day 2 in the evening, and it was it was okay, but when Luke Shaw scored, I got all excited, only to remember. I genuinely did. I was like, okay, well, at least, because I think one of the things I said with Captain Diaz, at least Bruno will probably be involved with the clean sheet go. So, okay, I can live with that. I kept Bruno. We said it, didn't we, last week? And he takes a pen or a lucky moment. And then, and Shaw was, he was third on my bench. And that 14-pointer.
Same as me, mate. I had exactly the same. At least you had Kane, so you think you've had a bad week. I think you scored in the end about 60 or 60, which is obviously,
I got 60.
Enough for a red arrow. You also had Meslier on the bet, but all right, you got your 7 off Martinez and 6 off Kufal as well. So you had hell of a bench week there. I didn't have Kane, and last week I was a bit smug, I think, because I thought I got away with it. Obviously, with all the triple captain as I put it on Salah. Last week didn't do anything last week, didn't do anything this week, but this week I didn't have Kane, so I think I've ended up on 50. I think it's 53. Massive. Well, so as I say, massive. A contextual massive red arrow from about 35k to about 59 or 60k. Antonio Watkins blanking. Antonio not taking the penalty in the West Ham game. What was that about? Because apparently Rice had it in his hands. Lingard took it off him, so Antonio was way down the pecking order.
So Rice is the penalty taker by all accounts now, isn't he? And I think Antonio, I remember last season, he got a sympathy penalty from Noble at United purely because he was on 9 goals and he set himself a target for 10. So I don't think he was ever nailed to be the penalty taker. I think that has affected and impacted people's views on him being the penalty taker. But he's... I wasn't too surprised with that. But I thought, West Ham looked okay, but Antonio didn't seem that involved.
No, agree.
Watkins was a bit unlucky first half, hitting the bar. Was it 7 times this season? Ollie Watkins has hit the bar.
Unbelievable, it's unbelievable.
He's hit the woodwork 7 times, which is incredible. Throwing VAR as well. He's probably got the prize as the most unluckiest player this season.
Yeah.
It's one of those game weeks. I think. City midfielders finished the week on a strong note, didn't they? So
they're funny, City, aren't they? Because I think we said last week that we didn't think De Bruyne is probably worth it, especially with all the other options. He goes and scores a tap in first, really good finish for the second goal, but he was in the area. How Foden didn't get a couple of goals tonight, I haven't got a clue. He was so unlucky. But you know that next week it's going to be different than different players. Mahrez looked unplayable. 2 fantastic goals and an assist, a beautiful assist as well. Okay, it hit the post, but the way he turned inside got his shot off. But the thing with City is you never know who to pick, and this is the problem. But I would say, that potentially Cancelo and Stones, I think, are maybe looking a bit more dispensable now. Diaz, obviously, he's still playing every single game. Gundogan, good value for money still. Martinez, superb. Fulham, brilliant. Bruno still doing it week in and week out. And that Chelsea defence, it seems to be that we're kind of coming to a bit of swing in the season. I think that the last 8 or 9 weeks have gone a certain way, and now we're coming to a bit of a swing, which is why I'm really excited to wildcard in 31. What are your thoughts on that, Adam? Any other kind of any other takeaways from the weekend?
Not really. I think what happened with City, it is still a little bit of roulette with their goals. Yeah, it's been a while since they've put in. I mean, they got 4 against Wolves, in fairness. Mahrez has been the one that everybody's missed.
But he's such a streaky player, isn't he? This is the problem with him.
So what's he? If you look at the last few game weeks, I think he's played pretty much 90 or the majority of minutes, hasn't he?
He started the last 6, and he's got 7 attacking returns in the last 6, and he was brought off today on 60 minutes, which probably in the case that he starts again on the weekend, don't he? You would guess.
He's been exactly. So, but I think it is. Yeah, I think you're probably looking at. I think City midfielders could be the way to go. Whether you double up on wildcard, I don't know because they're fixtures, but
yeah, and they miss a game week, don't they? Obviously in 33, but yeah, I'm sure as we come to that, I'm sure the form will have changed again. I'm sure the players to want will have changed again, but yeah, we'll just have to see. Okay, so as we are live, please feel free to join in the chat at any time. Let us know your thoughts on the topics throughout the relevant sections, and feel free to ask some questions. We'll try and answer as many as we can. Good evening to everyone in the chat. We've got Guy Parfitt, who had a red arrow. Hornet, 70 points for a red arrow. FPL time. KDB got me well back into it. Managed to get 90 points. Well done. FPL time up to 30k. Stefan L says he's selling all City players. We've got Daniel Robert in the chat. JA FPL Geordie says 1,000% agree, Fergie. Hopefully on the fixture swing. FPL Alex the Kid. Fergie and Adam just posted you my team and rise to the top 100k. Fantastic. KDB captain 93. Good evening, Ben Wyatt, Florin Sandu, Robert Eskin, John Robson, and everyone else. It's absolutely great to have you with us. For any new watchers and listeners, if you haven't subscribed just yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen and set the alerts so you don't miss our streams every week right here on this channel as we preview each game week. Also, please press the like button if you enjoy our content. So this evening, we will try and answer the questions on everyone's lips. Firstly, we'll ask the question. It's not on this agenda, but we will ask the question: what to do with Mo Salah? He's Liverpool have just been awful. Most expensive player in the game. Next 2 games away to Wolves, blank, then away to Arsenal. We will look how we navigate and optimize the next few game weeks. Final preparations for game week 29, and we start looking at 30, 31 and beyond. Who are the best players to own for the coming game weeks? We will reveal our game week 28 teams and plans, look at the best captaincy option for game week 28, give the competition result from double game week 27, and look to give away another prize this week. So firstly, Adam, so we both got Salah. Liverpool, as you said, I got Wolves away in 28, which is going to be a tough game. No fixture in 29, Arsenal away in game week 30, and they've even got Villa at home, who have defensively been good in 31. In none of those, you'd probably guess that he would be a serious captaincy option. Maybe Villa in 31 if Liverpool improve. What are your current thoughts?
It's Villa 32, isn't it? Is it Villa? Oh, 31, yeah, sorry. 31, you're right. Mine haven't really changed. I think that Liverpool have struggled in particular, and I don't think it's necessarily been Salah that's struggled. I think it's been a consequence of Liverpool's performances. And it's been the Anfield thing, which I think has been a big, because we talked earlier in the season, and I remember saying about their record at Anfield, they'd gone however many games with getting a minimum of 2 goals, I think with the exception of a couple. So, and then they've gone on this incredible run of losing, is it 5 or 6 in a row, only getting 1 goal in the process. So, yeah, I think that's a worry. But you said about their fixtures, and you said about a couple of them being away. I was really surprised. So Salah at home this season. Do you know how many? So he's got. Do you know how many goals he's got in open play at home this season?
Not off the top of my head. No.
3.
Wow.
That's pretty. That is pretty poor, isn't it? I mean, and that's not nothing against Salah, but that's more considering his home record previously. But his stats don't really differ much from his away in terms of expected and when you're looking at shots and all of that. But away from home, he's got 10 goals, 7, I think 8 from open play. There's been 2 penalties. So his record seems to be better away from home. And he's got, we say, Wolves and Arsenal next. So I think my issue isn't necessarily Salah. It's what you do with the money, and is it best to make the move this week?
Yeah.
So I think if you based on De Bruyne tonight would be a very good replacement, but is it the right week to do it? They're playing 3 times in a week, going away to Fulham, who are, I think, in the top, massively improved defensively. So I'm not sure it's that move would necessarily pay off, particularly when you probably want the money to spend on a Son or a Bale the week after. So I think you could look at Bale potentially, but I think Arsenal's a tough fixture, and I think with it being a derby, and I think reading Mourinho's comments, and there's a lot of talk about fatigue with Bale and muscle fatigue around the 60, 70 minute mark. So I don't think he'll get 90. And therefore, I'm reluctant to do the move for Bale. And then I'm looking, who else is there really that you could move to this week? There's no, in my opinion, there's nobody really that I think with how the fixtures fall this week. I think if you don't own Bruno, it's an easy move. I would do that move without a shadow of a doubt. But I think for both of our teams, we both have Bruno. I mean, you don't have Kane, so there could be a double move in there, for example. But in terms of a direct replacement, the only like-for-like one I like for this would be KDB, but I just don't think I'd make the move this week because I'd have to do a defender out as well in like either Cancelo or Diaz. So I'm happy to keep Salah this week. I won't captain him, but it only takes a penalty, doesn't it? Or he is capable, and away from home, he's been good. My only worry is if you go back, and we use expected points in the hub, and it's a really, really good metric. Some things I looked at. So if you look at game week 23 onwards, game week 20 onwards, he's second for expected points. This excludes the games tonight. I haven't checked.
Yeah.
If you look at it, game week 23 onwards, he's 7th, but he's in the top 3 or 4 midfielders. So he's there or thereabouts. Yeah. But then if you look at it 26 onwards, he just disappears into the abyss. So that's a little worry. But, Jota might help, with getting up fitness, might help reignite them. So my team, I'm keeping him. But, I think the way he's playing at the moment, the way Liverpool are, I wouldn't put up a huge fight against anybody to sell him.
Yeah, so I have got a player, and I mentioned him last week, who I'm thinking of taking him out for this. I didn't do the move after last week, and obviously, I'm glad I never in the end because he was benched, but he's not going to be benched again. And I think personally, I'm not, I've said it every week. 29 doesn't massively excite me. I haven't got Harry Kane. So I need to go down to a kind of mid-price midfielder from Salah to be able to afford to bring in Kane in 29. I agree with you. I think Arsenal is going to be a very hard game. I wouldn't be surprised if Kane scored, right? But I say this now. I don't think he's going to be one of the best captaincy options. But the captaincy poll we put up earlier, we'll take a look. It's very interesting, and Kane is very, very popular. And I'm quite surprised that I know Kane loves playing Arsenal is the narrative. But there are other options as well. I think so. Mason Mount was obviously rested, inexplicably rested, on Monday evening against West Ham. He will very, very likely play, I think, against Leeds on the weekend. Against a pretty, I wouldn't say hapless Leeds defence, but they're not the best. He's also suspended from the Champions League game midweek. Because of bookings. Yeah. And this is why I think he'll definitely start against Leeds, and why I think he will very probably start in game week 30 against West Brom as well, before a wild card in 31. So, I mentioned him last week, and not just before and not just because he scored, but I think he's a really good option, Mount. And what that does for me personally, for my team, it will then allow me to upgrade someone to Kane in 29 easily without having to take a hit.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think when I'm looking at it, it's more from the direct like for like,
of course, yeah,
or similar replacements. But I think to move him down and upgrade to Kane, yeah, I can't argue with that. I like Mount as an option. The only reason I won't bring him in is, having looked at my planned moves, I prefer Azpilicueta from Chelsea, and I prefer to probably go with either Lingard or Saka for the next goal. Quite like Lingard, to be honest. Really think he's done well at West Ham. Seems to. So I think I'll probably go either Lingard or Saka the week after. But yeah, I can't argue with Mount. I think the fact I don't see him getting rotated that often.
Yeah. Is there anyone else at all kind of in your mind? I know we've got 29 kind of in mind. But there's also games in 28 and 30 as well. So I'm not just looking. Whereas the options you mentioned, Lingard and Saka, obviously both play in 29 as well.
The team that I like the most I don't even know if it's necessarily fixtures, but I really like West Ham at the moment. I think
doing really well.
There's something really good about them, and I could see them, even though I'll probably captain Bruno, I could see them getting a result at Old Trafford. And I think the likes of so we've mentioned Lingard. Obviously, he's not available this week, so that probably rules him out. I don't particularly like Arsenal, and partly because I think Europe is a big factor for them, and there will be rotation, and we've seen him change the team. But I actually think, I think they've got Spurs and West Ham, which I think they're both two really tough games, both London derbies. So I would stay away from Arsenal. I think Brighton have got okay fixtures, but who'd you pick? I mean, other than defensively fine, but not for midfield. There's nobody that excites me there.
Yeah.
I mean, Havertz could be the one from Chelsea, possibly, but he's probably still a risk at this stage, I think, because he'll be, they've got enough strikers there. He looked good. He looked, from what I saw in the highlights, he looked okay against Everton. But yeah, there's no one else. I think Bale is an option. He's looked really good, but the two games he's excelled in have been home games against Crystal Palace and Burnley, when Spurs have been on the ascendancy. They've got two probably tougher games coming up now, so let's see how they do.
I suppose my last word on Salah as well. So I've got the wild card in 31, as have you, Adam, which is why I personally haven't got any qualms really, on taking him out, because I know I can get him back in 31 if I need to. You don't have a wild card, I'd just be a bit careful about having some kind of potential route to get him back and not completely spread the funds, because Liverpool's fixtures from game week 32 onwards, which I believe I want to say start with Newcastle. I'll just check that actually. Leeds, sorry. So in 32, Liverpool have got Leeds, and in 33, they're home to Newcastle. And Liverpool's run at the end of the season is absolutely incredible. So I would just say, just be a little bit careful, or at least maybe get cover in Jota or something like that. I just think, it's an important point.
Yeah, cover always works, doesn't it?
Cover well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we have up now on our screen for our YouTube viewers the fixtures for the coming game weeks. Game week 29 is fast approaching, but to me, Chelsea are the team who have plum ties in game week 28 and game week 30, and they're the ones who are exciting me. Really interesting point I saw earlier in one of the Hub chat groups. Ben Crellin has said that the Everton versus Villa rearranged game at the moment is likely. I want to say likely, so he suggests 50 to 70% likely to slip into game week 30. So we do need to bear that in mind when we're looking at players who are transferring out. I've got Luca Dean and Calvert-Lewin, and my immediate thought this week was to move out Calvert-Lewin because he hasn't got a game in 29, but he could have a double in game week 30, and his other game is a nice one as well. So just to just be careful of that. My kind of immediate thoughts on the coming game weeks. Again, I'd written this before the match earlier, but Mahrez, started the last 6, same only as Ederson and Diaz. So Ederson, Diaz and Mahrez at the moment look to be Pep's go-to sort of players. Chelsea's fixture run is crazy. They're playing so well. They're defending incredibly. Your Azpilicueta shout cannot falter at all. We'll have some stats up in a bit as well, because another player or two who looks very, very exciting.
I just like Aspie for bonus is brilliant.
He is
really good. So I think the way I can see things going, and I think they've already gone this way, is just moving away from strikers completely. Well, having one maybe, but going 4-5-1 is, I think, probably the way to go at the moment, because the goal, well, other than maybe tonight, but the goals are drying up. There's a lot of decent defensive options, your Shaws, your Azpilicuetas, your Creswells, who are getting good fixtures. The midfielders we've talked about, there's some cheap options, the likes of Saka, Rafinha, Gundogan, and then plus your premiums and some of the ones that you've mentioned. But up front, outside of Harry Kane, even Antonio, I'm not massively excited by, and he's likely to get another injury at some point. Calvert-Lewin, Watkins, I think he's struggling without Grealish massively, but I don't see any huge holes coming from him. So I just think the strikers at the moment, there isn't a single one other than Kane. If I had quite an easy, if I was wildcarding this week, I would set it up to go 4-5-1. I'd probably have a 6 million one on the bench. This first sub, like maybe someone like Watkins, for example, or Antonio, or whoever it would be. But I would just go 4-5-1 most weeks, depending on the fixtures. Because if you look at the points over the last 20 game weeks, both points and expected points, it's not 20. Since game week 20 onwards, very few forwards are in there. It's all midfielders and defenders. And we've got some great defensive options. If you look, Dina's got 8 assists or 9 this season. Creswell's got 10. So we've got these sorts of players available to us. So Dallas has got 9 attacking returns.
Yeah, I can't argue with any of that. And we get the fixture swings, for the teams we've already mentioned. Liverpool, we could have Trent or Robertson. Leicester, we could have Pereira, Castagna. There's even Wolves. There's been talk of Cody.
Cody, I tell you what, the game that I watched, I've never been this bad for watching football, but the game that I watched, I said it last week about Cody looking good. He could have had a brace. That's how ridiculous is that? Imagine if we were looking at a season ago and we're talking about Connor Cody could have had a brace. You'd be like, what are you going on about? Yeah, but he looked probably, looked really dangerous from set pieces. So, yes, I think I would agree with you. But then you look at, if you go through most of the teams, you'd probably go Cody and maybe Neto, wouldn't you?
I think so.
So, yeah, I think that's the way it's going. And I don't see myself, maybe in game week 29, I'll start 3 up front because I'm not really going to have the options not to.
I think in 30, it may be the same because of what we mentioned last week, didn't we? That the fixtures fall really nicely in 30, for Everton, Leeds. So, if we still got Bamford and Calvert-Lewin, it's set up. I think that 31 wildcard, I know I go on about it, and I'm just so excited about it because I can see such big swings in terms of fixtures, in terms of teams. The teams, the teams we'll be targeting will be completely different to teams we're targeting now, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to it because I don't see much happening in the next couple of game weeks. And I think it's going to be hard to make up any big grounds.
And the template is just on it. I mean, I checked mine earlier. I didn't think I was that template, and I'm 81% template. You know, I just want to get off that just for the fun of the game as well. You know, I want to be able to cheer a goal. You know, when someone in my team scores, I want to be able to cheer because at the moment you're just like, oh well, Bruno scored again. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You know.
I agree. I agree with that. I think what you said is spot on. You want to be able to cheer a goal, and you want to actually be able to freshen it up. I think the lead up to the wild card, I'm not going to be on any social media at all. I'm not going to look at it. No, I'm not. No, I'll probably invoke that a little bit sooner because I think it's you know, I think a lot of it becomes very, very samey, the posts and all of that, and I quite like stepping away from it, watching stuff without any noise, and just see where my thoughts go, because it is interesting how influenced you do become.
100%. We had some shouts for Salah plays in the chat. So both Josh Longworth and Daniel Robert both said Aubameyang.
Yeah, I think potentially. I think he's price wise he is, and he's looked good and he's been good on stats. And yeah, I think probably the Spurs game they'll be up for it. I think potentially. Who's he got after? So he got West Ham. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout at all. It's just Willie. And then he's got Liverpool. Well, we could argue Liverpool's a good fixture, couldn't you?
You could at the moment. I'd have a look. You know, they've got Olympiacos in the Europa as well, so I'd just be a bit wary about them maybe prioritising that. But you know, Guy Parfit says, any news on Grealish plays Newcastle next and in 29. You know, if he comes back, he could be an option. You would guess if he did come back, he'd have reduced minutes.
He wasn't in training today, and I take that as a bad sign, unfortunately. It seemed quite positive on Saturday night about his involvement, but this always happens with Grealish. It every time he's injured, and I think it's a Dean Smith thing. You never get any clarity. It's I don't know when he'll be back, unfortunately. I really hope it's Friday night, but who knows? I think if you took Bruno out of Man United, you know, if you took who I'm trying to think of other one man teams, but if
Gundogan out of Man City,
yeah, no, exactly. But I think if you it's had a huge negative impact. I think we're good at defending in terms of not necessarily for giving up chances, but I think we've got that will to keep the ball out of the net. Yeah. Which is why we've kept so many clean sheets. We've got a very good goalkeeper who's made a big difference. But attacking wise, the second half against Wolves, we offered absolutely nothing except for towards the final whistle. So, yeah, I think Grealish is key to Villa picking up again.
There's been a few shouts for Werner. So Ed Wells and a couple of others in the chat. So I've lost the other comments. But Werner, yeah, you know, he's just by the law of averages, he's got to score a couple of goals in a game soon, haven't he? He just keeps missing, but he keeps getting in positions. And I think that the Werner, if you can afford him, you know, because of his awkward price, you've either like got Kane and two low-priced strikers at the moment, or you've probably got three low-priced. Because of his price point, it's quite awkward to fit it, unless you've maybe got Kane and Vardy, for example. But I doubt anyone will be removing Kane for Werner. Maybe after game week 30 or 31, as we've said. But I do think Werner has got a big part to play still in this season. Havertz is getting better. Mount's on fire. They've got the fixtures, as we've said. You know, it's only a matter of time before he does find his shooting boots. So yeah,
I agree on Werner. I think Werner's a good shout. He's not going to keep missing chances.
No, exactly.
He's getting the chances, which is the good thing, isn't he? So yeah, I think he's a good shout. He's someone I would consider on wildcard. Yeah.
Just finally on fixtures, Adam. I had a thought earlier, you know, because we're both heading headlong towards 29. If you had to have must-have players for 29, so who, you know, maybe five or six players who you think you've got to have them just as cover. If anyone else plays, it's a bonus. Who are the 5 or 6 players? Sorry to kind of throw you under the bus a little bit here.
No. I don't feel under the bus in this one. I think if we go through game by game, is probably the easiest way to talk through it. So Fulham versus Leeds, I could see Fulham keeping a clean sheet in that one. So I don't think Leeds attackers are essential. And I think if you're going for one, go for Rafinha. I think a nice option there is a Fulham defender. I think Anderson has been brilliant. What a player he is. And I think he is someone that could be a good option for game week 30. I don't see Fulham scoring a hatful of goals, so I wouldn't be interested in the attackers. Newcastle, Brighton v Newcastle, I won't go near any of the attackers in that match. So I would probably look at Brighton defenders. Veltman looks really good. So in the last 5 or 6 games, I think he's had 2 big chances, created 2 big chances. He's right up there on the attacking side. I think he's like 4.3, 4.4 million. So Veltman's the one I'd go for. Dunk's reliable. So I think a Brighton defender from there. So you could really, between those 2 fixtures, have 2, 3, 4 players max. I think looking at the other 2 games, they're really tough to call. I would suggest that Villa versus Spurs, it depends if Grealish is back. I think if Grealish isn't back, I'd be tempted to treble up with the 3 attackers. Yeah, I'd be tempted. I think Kane is the essential one for me, probably out of every player in the game week. But I don't see that. So a lot of people have got Martinez, but if you're backing your Spurs attackers to do well, then you're probably backing against Martinez. So you can. I wouldn't be worried about not having any Villa players personally. I think Spurs, if we haven't got Grealish back, I think Spurs will fancy that game. And then the West Ham versus Arsenal, I fancy West Ham in this fixture. So I think a few people have mentioned Aubameyang. Yeah, it could be a shout, but he's quite expensive. And then would you want him for the Liverpool game the week after? So it's fitting him in because let's say, for example, you've got the likes of Bruno. At the moment, you wanted to bring in maybe Bale and Son. Then how do you fit him in? That could be quite difficult. So I would say, I think at the moment, probably the most essential West Ham asset is Cresswell.
I agree, and do you know
absolute super, and I'm considering him. So I would say Cresswell. So if I'm looking at that game week, a lot of people are being drawn to the attackers. If just looking at the fact that you've got Fulham incredible defensively. That game v Leeds have actually improved defensively recently. So that game with Leeds could be a really tight 0-0 type game. I don't see Fulham conceding loads of goals. The way they're defended is brilliant at the moment, and Anderson is absolutely quality. So I think you look at that game, Newcastle. Brighton can't score. Newcastle. You don't see loads of goals in that game. I think Villa Spurs is a bit harder to predict, but then probably West Ham Arsenal. I don't see loads of goals in it. So I think the likes of Cresswell, Dunk, Veltman, Anderson. And a lot of people are probably going to have 2 defenders, but actually, I think they'll get the most points. I might. That's if I was looking at it logically. Now, the ones that I don't know who you'll be having, but the ones that I will probably have, I intend to save a transfer this week, and then I'll probably do Salah I'll do 3 transfers the following week, which should give me 10 players. So I'd do Salah to Son or Bale. Probably Bale, I think. I think he's just got more goal threat than Son at the moment. And then I would possibly do Barnes to Lingard because I like Lingard at the moment. And I don't see there's not loads of other midfielders jumping out at me. And then I'd probably do a defensive move, either Anderson or Cresswell in. Because I've got Kufal, I may go for Anderson or somebody else. But yeah, I just really wouldn't worry about that game week. I don't see it. It'll be a low scoring game week. Get your captain right. And I'd expect the defences to come out on top. I reckon there'll be 3 or 4 clean sheets. If you go maybe with 4 at the back and picking some of those defences, you could do well.
Who do you think the standout captain is? As it stands.
Oh, it's easy, Harry
Kane.
Kane. Yeah, easy.
So as long as you've got Kane and 5 or 6 players, you should be all right. We've had a bit of chat, some interesting stuff. So Stefan L says Fulham to keep a clean sheet. What? He doesn't think so. FPL Fozzie says Lookman, which may be a really good shout, a really good budget shout. Not that budget is like a massive issue at the moment, but I do like. Lookman. There's obviously Marja as well, who's been playing well. There was a shout around maybe getting Giroud against Leeds this weekend. Blair says I don't think Giroud will play, and Michael Tillett agrees with Stefan, saying he doesn't think that Fulham will keep a clean sheet. We don't know, right? But obviously there's a difference of opinion there. Is fine. Edwell.
So I mean, just to back it up, I think the last 6 game weeks, Fulham have got the second best defence to Chelsea, and I think they've been. And look at some of the fixtures they've had as well: Tottenham, Liverpool. I think they've been outstanding defensively.
I'm sure they've conceded. I think it's 2 in their last 6 or 7 games.
They have, and I think Leeds haven't been great attacking wise. I mean, the thing with people you've got with Leeds as well, they are very wasteful. I mean, Bamford is. I'm getting frustrated with owning him because I mean that miss. The second one, I think Rafinha. Obviously, it was Rafinha to Bamford. I own both of them, of course. But that second one he missed, where he put over the bar from 6 yards. I remember when I was about 11, I missed an identical chance like that, and that still haunts me. And I'm thinking he's a Premier League footballer getting paid. You shouldn't be missing that. It was embarrassing. It was really, it was really bad. It was quite controlled. So I think, I see Fulham. The other thing as well, Fulham need to win. They've got to. We're getting to the stage of the season. I'm not saying Leeds will get complacent, but Fulham need the result, and to get a result, they need a clean sheet, in my opinion, or more to get a win anyway. Because I don't see Fulham scoring 2. So, yeah, I'm back. I am backing a Fulham clean sheet, but I will have Rafinha and Bamford. So, if it doesn't work out, I'm all right with that too.
Ed Wells asked, if you had 8 template plays for Gameweek 29 but still have the free hit, would you free hit to maximise differentials? And FPL Geordie replied, I wouldn't personally, and I would just completely back that up, really, because the template is a template for a reason at the moment, is that they're all performing really well. There's also probably a better free hit opportunity, probably in game week 33, when Man City, Spurs,
agree,
Fulham, and Southampton don't play at all. So it means you can approach that game week still with your team intact as normal, without having to worry about that as well. So we don't know what the optimal team is for 29, right? And if you approach it with a template team, you will very likely get a greyish arrow. If you use your free hit and go for differentials, you could get a big green, you could get a big red. And there's been a lot in the chat as well. FPL Fozzie says, see it as a bit of an underwhelming game week, and I completely agree. There's no real standout fixture there, is there? They're all going to be tough games.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. I think any hit that you take, if you bring in a player that's got a bad fixture in 30, then I just don't see the point in doing it, because there's going to be certain situations where people take a -4 to bring somebody in, and then the week after they want to do exactly the same. Yeah. So I don't always buy into it's only a 2-point hit. The reality is that any hit, so 4 points, the majority of players in FPL, except for the premium assets, score less than 4 points, and you've got like a group that get between 4 and 5 points, but even on their average score, you're only probably going to be a point up. And if it's someone you don't want the week after, I think that's probably the best advice. If you bring someone in, make sure you want them the week after.
Yeah, we showed the fixtures last week. A lot of the teams, Leeds, Everton, and a few others, have got really nice fixtures in 30. Okay, so we now have a graphic up of the top players for expected points over the past 4 game weeks per appearance. This obviously doesn't include this evening games for Man City. Top of the shop with 8.5, far and away the highest out of anyone, Marcus Alonso. So he's played 3 in the last 4 game weeks, and he's averaged 5.3 points per game, but his expected points 8.5. And one thing that poked out right at me, which absolutely blew me away, in each of those appearances, he's had 3 shots, 2 shots in the box per appearance over his last 3 games. He looks a man on a mission, and he's one. I'm struggling to get to him this week because of the makeup of my team, but he's one and definitely looking at. We mentioned Veltman last week, so he's second still. He's averaged 7.6 expected points, even though his actual points are 4.5. Zuma as well. He's only played 2, and and obviously he's a rotation risk. Lingard is in there. He obviously misses 28. Chilwell, who is Alonso's rotation risk. Sterling has been so his actual points, he scored 3.8 points per game. His expected points was 6.4. Cancelo 3.2 actual points per game, expected points of 6.2. And then you get to Azpilicueta and Rafinha. Azpilicueta's expected points is in line with his actual points. So 4 Chelsea defenders there in the top 8 players for expected points.
I think just on Raheem Sterling, I don't think he's. I don't know what a lot of people think on here, but for me, he's not in City's best team. I think he's regressed a lot personally. I mean, I prefer Foden and Mahrez in the wide positions, and I think you can easily go, oh yeah, but it's because of tonight. But if you think of the games they've played, and I think the spark, and they've got that mix of creativity, and I just think, Sterling is a no-go option for me. I just don't. Which is a big U-turn for a few weeks ago, but I just think since then, he's very erratic with his finishing. I mean, he's missed some absolute sitters, and I just feel Foden and Mahrez are more controlled, and I would trust them more if they're going to get chances and in and around the box. So, yeah, it's. I think that could be the way to go for City options. It could be that the way to do it is rather than invest heavily in the likes of De Bruyne, which is possibly valid, but is to go for the likes of maybe Mahrez and Foden, start them every week, because they, in a lot of instances, they either play,
this is it,
or they don't get minutes. So that could be the way. That could be the way to go. And then if the matches they do start, they score well in. So it could be the way.
Foden was absolutely sensational this evening. So if you think in the game, Mahrez scored 2, De Bruyne scored 2, and they gave man of the match to Foden. He was that good. He was unreal. And how he didn't score a couple of goals, I don't know, but he was absolutely
We should have had a penalty by all accounts, shouldn't he?
Oh, should have had a penalty. Do you know what?
I've not seen it, so...
I put on Twitter, this is why players dive, right? Or I said, sorry, not why they dive. This is why players go down, because he got his foot swept away from underneath him, but he tried he fell to his knees, but he got back up straight away to try and score, and they missed it. If he'd have just gone down, sprawling, it would have been a penalty any day of the week. It's so poor, but so
it's the officials, isn't it? I mean, they've got they're doing absolutely nothing to stamp out diving, because that's what you want to see. Like you said, he's desperate to score. That's what you want to see, rather than players looking for contact,
but you've got to think contact. Next time that happens, you have to think that in his head and in Pep's instruction will be just go down, and it's awful to say it and awful to think it, but it's probably the truth. So
there was one the other week. Was it Mahrez? Wasn't it, when he skipped past one of the Sheffield United defenders? I think it was Bogle, wasn't it? And he didn't go down.
Yeah,
he could quite easily have done. Yeah, they've just got to be brave with those decisions. Anyway, we digress.
So looking at Chelsea defenders then, we mentioned Alonso, Zuma there, Azpilicueta and Chilwell are all in there. There was a question about Rudiger as well. Stefan L asks, any word on Rudiger, keep or sell? I think what you just described as a strategy for holding Man City midfielders potentially, such as Foden and Mahrez, I think it's the same for Chelsea. So Rudiger on Monday evening, so he was benched, but there was a stat that came out that not one Chelsea centre-back has been subbed out all season unless injured, because if you remember, Thiago Silva came off injured, so he was subbed, but other than that, no, right? So if Zuma and Christensen play, or Zuma, Christensen, Spilicueta, whatever else, and Rudiger's there, he's cheap enough. You can just leave him bench. It's absolutely fine. If he plays, he will play 90 minutes, and Chelsea's fixtures are absolutely fantastic. So I think Rudiger, again, is a superb option there as well. So, on 31 at the moment, I'm looking at Alonso, Azpilicueta, and maybe Mount or Werner. But those stats back up what we're seeing on the pitch. They back up what we're seeing in the fixture list as well. As Chelsea, for me at the moment, are the go-to team. The other teams that feature...
What about the goalkeeper?
Yeah, there was a shout from him for him on the chat as well, Mendy. I just think that there are better options. I don't mean better options. He will keep a lot of clean sheets, right? But in Alonso and Azpilicueta, you've also got that, or you've always got that additional attacking threat. So I wouldn't say he's a bad option, but I think there is bigger upside in other players personally. What do you think about Mendy?
I think it'll be one that will be considered with the guy. So it wouldn't be a question of Mendy instead of one of the defenders. For me, it would be doubling up on the defence with Mendy as one of the options. Yeah. So potentially Mendy and Azpilicueta. So I'd consider that. I'd have to have a look. I'm gonna have to have a look in more detail. Yeah. But I think that the way that they've started under Tuchel, I think doubling up defensively makes sense. They're by far the best defence in the league at the moment. So,
and the other teams that are mentioned in this list are Leeds, West Ham, and Brighton as well. So it backs up your thoughts on West Ham. Leeds are actually being unlucky. If we look at Rafinha, his actual points over his last 5 games, he's scored 4.2, but his expected points have been 6.1. And there's been Llorente for Leeds in there as well, and Cooper as well. So their actual points are 2.2 and 3 respectively, whereas their expected points, this is what you said about Leeds, have tightened up a bit defensively. Their expected points are 5.7 and 6. So these are the teams that are performing well in the underlying stats, maybe not translating as much on
you got a feel for Rafinha, because if he had more
unbelievable
teammates, he'd have had another 5 or 6 assists over the last few weeks. You look at that Wolves game, the amount of chances he created. I think that one he put on a plate for Bamford the other night. Yeah. He's been really unlucky, I think, in the last few weeks. But I still think he's an absolute top player.
So we now have a graphic up of Chelsea players, and it's their players' expected points for the last 4 game weeks by appearance. This is for Chelsea specifically. As you can imagine, Alonso right up there. So I've ordered this by shots per game. Alonso is top is top of the Chelsea team in terms of shots per game over the last 4 game weeks. So as I mentioned earlier, he's averaging 3 with 2 in the box. Werner is averaging 2.4 shots with 2 in the box. Mount 2.4 as well. Giroud, Ziyech, Chilwell, and then you get down to Havertz, who's obviously played the 1 game, but it just brought this up.
Does it, with Alonso, does it not worry you that? So looking at it, so in the last 4 game weeks, Alonso's played 3 matches, Chilwell's played 2. Does that not concern you at all?
If he doesn't play, he doesn't play. I just think that's fine. But as long as you've got a half decent bench, which we can all afford at the moment. I mean, we're all benching points all over the place, right? So at the moment, the kind of team sheets suggest that Alonso is the preferred option. And with that in mind, if he plays, he just looks on for a 15-pointer every time he plays. It hasn't materialised yet, but we always want to try and get on these players ahead of their points rather than, look, he'll score a 15-pointer this week. And then we're like, oh, look, Alonso's a good option. That's not what we want to do, right? So the stats all point to Alonso being the man. And if he doesn't play, you get your first off your bench.
He's from a creative perspective as well. 3 big chances created in the last, so that's quite impressive.
He's on fire and he's due. And if I could squeeze him in my team without taking a hit or taking out a different player, because I've got Luca Dean, I've got the Man City boy, so it's quite hard. But if you are looking for a player, I think Alonso's one there, and it just kind of backs up the attacking stats then for what the guys in chat room got earlier around Werner and around Mount as well there. So, some really, really good Chelsea options there. And our final graphic for this evening on Chelsea. So I'm just showing the last 4 game weeks. So Luke Shaw, I think we can all agree, has been absolutely fantastic recently. Everyone is absolutely raving about Shaw. If you look at Alonso's stats against Shaw over the last 4 game weeks, Alonso absolutely romps all over him in practically every stat. Apart from, funnily enough, actual points per start. Apart from actual points, in terms of expected points, XA, big chances created, shots on target, shots in the box, Alonso is absolutely dominating Shaw. So I just thought that was, an interesting graphic to put up there for anyone watching on YouTube. It's quite startling, actually, how dominant he is there. Any last thoughts on Chelsea, Adam, or any other players, I suppose, going into the last, into the next week or two? I think we've covered quite a bit.
I probably won't go to Chelsea this week, but yeah, I think my favourite player from Chelsea is still Aspilicueta. But I just think he's so reliable when he's in that team, and he's good for bonus, but he does have some attacking threat as well. So yeah, I just think it's Alonso started 3 of the last 5, which is okay, but you're then starting to have to think about your bench, and I think I want to attack the last 8 game weeks with my first 11 being really strong, and a first 11 that I trust and can play every week. I want to go back to that because I think there's been. I know your views on it, but it feels like there's been too many benched points every week. I'm having to work out who's my best starting 11. That's one of the good things about a lot of the other fantasy games. The one that you're top of at the moment, Dream Team, Sky. You wouldn't have had any Luke Shaw bench points, would you? So I think that's the way I want to go to, is go really, really big on my first 11. And I still think, for 18 million, you can still have a bench that plays and will get you points if needed.
And I think as well, if we look at what we just said about, the kind of team we may be looking to get towards structurally as well, right? If you're only playing the one up front, right, and, and 5 mids and 4 defenders, even 5 defenders, potentially, you can basically afford to have anyone you want, and you can have, two guys on your bench, maybe Mitchell from Palace and someone else. You can just chuck them on your bench, out of the way, don't worry about it, and just have the one player on the bench, to come in if needed. But yeah, I completely agree. I know I'm so excited about the Wild Card. I can't wait. It just seems at the moment where just every team is the same, apart from like 1 or 2 players and the captaincy every week. And this is one of the things I personally don't like about FPL, of how important the captaincy is, because one decision every week can just sway everything so massively. But I know a lot of people enjoy it, but I prefer the games where not the games. I prefer it when you're getting your points from all over the pitch, not from maybe one single player, for example. KDB has basically outscored my whole team this week, which is maybe why I'm a little bit
no, I know what you mean.
Okay, so Adam, we've now got your team on screen for game week 28. Do you want to read it out for our podcast listeners?
Yeah, I can't even remember my team. I did it a few weeks. Actually, no, it's set up quite nicely, and you should notice they're all in position order. So we have in goal, we've got Martinez. I'll start him over Meslier because I think Meslier's got a slightly tougher fixture with Chelsea. I've then got Cancelo's playing right back in my team, so I prefer him on the right than the left. I've then got Diaz and Dunk centre backs and Shaw left back, and then I've got Salah on the right, Bruno and Gundogan in the centre, and Rafinha on the left, and then Watkins and Kane up front. So I'm benching Bamford. I just think the way Chelsea are defending, I don't really want two Leeds attackers. And it's possible that if Gundogan or someone's rested, he's an all right first sub. I just think he's a lot more wasteful than Rafinha. So I trust Rafinha more, and I think he could do something. If they're going to get a goal, I think Rafinha's more likely to be involved.
Yeah.
So capped it. Yeah, I'm pretty set on that. I'm not going to make any changes this week. There's no moves that excite me. Yeah, I think I'm set to go. I'm starting Dunk over Bamford, but I think I'm pretty set on this team.
You can tell we're kind of winding down, can't you, into 29 and 30.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not excited by it. But then I think who are the players that I don't own that I think could score big this week, and there aren't many. I think the Arsenal game would be a tough game for Spurs.
Stefan L asks the question: Fernandes to De Bruyne after game week 30. So I think we're pretty aligned on this one, Adam, aren't we? In that we don't think Bruno will be going anywhere from our teams unless he gets injured.
Absolutely not. Bruno, I would be shocked if Bruno leaves my team at any point this season. I just don't get why people take him out. And you can look at the stats, but the thing, I think I posted something on this about United penalties, and then everyone goes, "Oh, Leicester have had more than them this season," or whatever. But if you break it down, I don't think United have had more than one penalty in any match this season in the league. So therefore, there's been 9 matches that they've had penalties in. The others that have got a high number of penalties have maybe had 2 in one match, and a couple of times I think Leicester and Brighton. So, United get a penalty. What's that? Every 40% of matches, or what? A third of matches. So
9 or 10 pointer every week, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, and he doesn't obviously need to rely on penalties, but he's just, if you look at the record of the amount of penalties that United have had since Solskjaer's been there as well, it's been 2.5 seasons of consistent penalties, which tells me it's not going to stop happening. So, yeah, Bruno's going absolutely nowhere. He's a winner, and we called it last week. I knew. I just don't see him blanking consistently. So, he's for me, he's the most trustworthy player that I own in my squad, and he won't be going anywhere.
Florin Sandu says people take him out because they are tired of being 700k overall. Florin, if you're 700k overall, you need to jump on players like Alonso, right? Not take out Bruno. Take out, Diaz or Stones or Cancelo, whoever else. Get on Alonso. Get on Azpilicueta. Get on Werner. Get on all these players where, okay, they haven't scored the points yet, but everything is aligned. They got the form. They got the underlying stats. Then they passed the eye test, and they've got the fixtures. You couldn't ask for anything else. Chelsea, for me, are the team to target over these next.
Yeah, I agree. I've just seen Pedger in the chat. Another red arrow, Adam. I'm assuming he's put into this. Do you know what? I've lost track. I've never had a run this bad in FPL. I'm not going to mention this in too much detail, but I looked at FPL Review, put something on Twitter. Really good, all the stuff he does. I really like his site. And having read about it, it is quite interesting. But I think I had 25% luck. So that basically means 75% of managers have had more luck than me. And I looked at it, and I think, based on the decisions that I've made, I think Diaz captain, I knew that was always a gamble, and I thought I'd take the risk this week. But overall, I think there's been a lot of things that haven't quite gone my way, and I don't think I could have got this many red arrows in a row if I tried to. I really don't. So I think I had one mini green sandwiched in there. So yeah, it's too depressing reading. So I've never had this run of form. So yeah, hopefully it'll turn around and it'll be. For some reason I've got it in my head. It's when a wild card.
It will be, mate. It's wild card time. 31 onwards. We're going to smash it and finish in the top 10.
Yeah, but there's 3 game weeks to then. I don't know if I can take another 3 red arrows. I'm going to have to branch out and set up the Red Arrow podcast.
I'm not sure if the overall rank goes down far enough for you to have another 3 red arrows in all fairness.
I'm looking forward to the montage next week anyway. So.
FPL Geordie says, blame the wife, Adam. And Megat Eamon, 102 points with Shaw on the bench. Well done, Megat.
Do you know what she said to me earlier? Because I was talking about my luck, and she saw. I'm a bit geeky. I did a little spreadsheet. I told you about it yesterday because I think your luck was about 55%, but you were pretty much in the middle. A lot of people had more luck than you, and I did it all. And my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I just working out my luck. She's like, yeah, but obviously you're not going to have had much luck because you've looked out meeting me. I'm like,
amazing. Exactly. There you go. That's all you need in life, Adam.
Exactly.
He's a good woman. and you've lucked out. Look there, you got a good woman, and you get to come on here every week with me, where I can just take the piss out of you every single week. I can't wait, because Adam is by far and away a better FPL player than I am, right? But at the moment, mate, I am just milking it for all it's worth. I gotta get the violin out again. I can't help it. I've just got to get out again, because I'm just milking it for all.
Do you know what? It is, on a serious note, it is good having the. I've just seen the violins in the chat. I love it. I do. I must admit, the highlight of my season is coming on doing these podcasts, because I do have a laugh, and you can actually. It is in a way therapeutic to.
It gives you the realization, actually, that right at the end of it, it is just a game, and
it is,
and, you know. There's obviously a large element of skill, no doubt, but I had a similar season last season to what you're having now, and I know what it's like, and it just seems like every 50-50 you do always flips on the wrong side. And I had it last season, and no matter what I did, no matter what I did, it went the other. Well, we were on the pods last year, wasn't we? And every week Adam was like, "Oh yeah, I'm up to 10k, or I'm up to 15k, and I'm languishing at like 460k. I've captained Salah at home to whoever, and he's got a yellow card and nothing, and you've captained Kane away to someone, and Kane's banged in a hat trick. It's just like,
it goes that way. But yeah, so I think, what would you do with my team? By the way, we haven't.
Sorry, yeah, I think the fact you've got Kane, I think you can probably leave it there. I think if I had funds to maybe do Kufal to Aspilicueta, you know what you're talking about. I know he doesn't play in 29, but I think the points he can get in 28 and 30 are going to far outweigh what Kufal could potentially get in 29 against Arsenal.
Do you know what? I did actually look at Kufal could I do Kufal to Cresswell? Because I think I prefer Cresswell anyway, but I was 0.1 out of it, and I think I might have the exact funds to get Aspilicueta in.
I don't know. I just think he's a bit of a differential. Like, Leeds is probably not the best defensive fixture for me, because Leeds are always capable of scoring, and you've got Rafinha, so you'll be kind of thinking. But I think after that, potentially. But yeah, I think
it's also possible that he's one of the players that started every single game, and with the Champions League coming up, it could be a game that they rest him, possibly. Maybe. I'm just thinking that for me, having 2 free transfers the week after, when I'm going to want to spread the Salah funds, is going to be useful. And plus, I think what you've said there about Leeds, I've got attackers. I've got at least one.
This is it.
Because I might have Bamford off the bench. I don't like setting up my attackers versus my defenders. I don't think it's an optimal.
Gone a bit quiet, mate. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't like setting up my attackers v defenders. I think it's very hedging your bets type of thing. So
I think the only other thing you could potentially do, and it may not be worth it, right? But potentially looking at someone like Werner in game week 30, maybe, or something like that. You could downgrade Salah to someone who's got a good game this week and potentially in 29, to free up funds to allow you an easy route to Werner in 30, or Werner, or Mount, or whoever it is. That may be another option potentially, because I don't know. I just can't see Salah do him, even if he scores against Wolves, which at the moment is very unlikely because he's not scoring. It's only a goal, right? Whereas he's going to be lowly captained. His ownership will probably go down massively as well. I would guess that's another option. It's kind of looking.
I think looking at this week, I just don't think there are any options that I can see hauling massively. I think I'll wait a week, and I think Werner is a great option for 30, but I could still engineer it.
You could, yeah.
So I could get Werner in 30, even if I did Salah to Bale and didn't spend the funds. I could probably do Watkins or Bamford to Werner the following week. Yeah. So I think that's a really good shout. Yeah, but I'm definitely saving this week. I can't see a transfer the way I think that is going to have huge upside. And actually, people selling Salah, for me, that's a positive, because I think if you're going to own Salah, you probably want him to be a little bit more differential.
Yeah. No,
there's nothing worse than having a template player that is he's not performing. So I think I'm going to stick with that, and I'll captain Bruno.
Relic returns quickly. He's in the chat. Says been stuck at 500k for 10 game weeks. Make a move. Get they're getting some players who've got some good fixtures up and coming. They may not have scored the points yet, but just have a look at the fixtures. We mentioned a load earlier. Look at the ownership of players. If you're willing to take a risk as well, and take out a couple of players. We mentioned Salah, maybe a few others as well. There's plenty of low owned players you can just take a punt on, right, and just enjoy it. There's no, if you're stuck at 500 for 10 game weeks, and when you have a really good run now for the last 10, and finish 300k or something, it's like well, if you're happy with that, great. But I would just say go for it a little bit. There's plenty of opportunities. So onto my team now, and so I've got Martinez in goals away to Newcastle. At the moment, I've got Diaz and Cancelo, who are playing Fulham away. I've got Luca Dean, who's playing home to Burnley, and Luke Shaw at home to West Ham. I've then got Salah, Son, Bruno, and Gundogan, and I've got Calvert-Lewin and Watkins at front. At the moment, I've got Pope on the bench. I've also got Antonio on the bench, but you did spook me earlier a little bit, kind of what you said around, where you think that West Ham can turn it on and turn United over, and I can't disagree. I didn't think Antonio looked great on Monday evening, so I'll have to have a bit of a think about that. And then I've got Rafinha second sub, and I've got Dallas third sub. So my thought this week, I would love Alonso. I really would love Alonso, but I'd feel a bit foolish taking him out, right? Because Diaz is going to play every game. Luca Dean is home to Burnley, which is a great fixture for him. Luke Shaw is home to West Ham.
Cancelo should play.
Cancelo's going to play as well because he's rested this evening. So those back four are absolutely superb. I can't take out Dallas because he's got the game in 29, so I'll just leave him there. So that kind of rules Alonso out this week. So my thought is to take out, as I mentioned earlier, Salah for Mount to try and get on Mount a bit early. Like I say, I do think he'll play against Leeds because he's banned from the Champions League midweek against Atletico Madrid. It does look potentially a little bit of a sidewaysy move, but I am looking at 30 as well. It also releases funds then for 29, so I can upgrade one of Watkins, Calvert-Lewin, or Antonio then in game week 29. At the moment, it would look like it would actually be Antonio, because Calvert-Lewin and Watkins could have a confirmed double game week.
So are you? Right. So you're doing the Mount move this week, but you're not bringing in Kane this week.
No, I'm not. No, because it's a hit, and I don't have to. I've got a good team. It's more doing it this week to get Mount in early, and then next week for 29. Then I can get Kane in for free. I'll have to count up how many players I'll have exactly for 29. I think it's like 7 maybe or something like that. I can always do a -4 or -8.
Salah's stock has fallen, isn't it? So effectively, you're saying I would prefer to own in a one-off game Mount than Salah.
Well, this is.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just saying his stock really has fallen. Imagine if you'd have said that at the start of the season.
I'm not set on it yet, as I say, because I take your point, and you are right. And there was lots of people who took out Bruno last week. I was set on taking out Bruno last week, albeit I was set on taking him out to bring in Kane, so I would have had a positive. But taking out Salah, I mean, they're playing this evening the Champions League against Leipzig. I think it's 0-0 so far. They're starting the second half. Apparently, there was a mess in the chat earlier. He missed a one-on-one, Salah. So he's getting the chances. I'm just not sure.
Okay. I like it when he misses chances, and
yeah.
I think it's a good sign because some of them they'll go in at some point. Yeah, I don't know if I would do that move. I think the long-term plan is spot on.
Do them both next week, maybe. Or...
Yeah, it's got the potential to backfire, that move, I think.
I think you're right, and yeah. So,
But I'm not saying Mount's a bad option, and bringing him against Leeds could be good. But Chelsea aren't scoring loads and loads of goals, so it could end up just being a 3-pointer, couldn't it? And so I'm not sure you'll get a huge gain from it. So it might be more sense. And you've actually got a really good bench. I mean, Rafinha is in there as well. I think it's decent. Who's your first sub?
Antonio, Rafinha, and Dallas.
I think your squad is good enough to save the transfer. Personally, I'd probably start Antonio because he scored away at United, so he scored away at City, didn't he? Yeah, he's got a good record against the top teams. Scored against Spurs the week before.
I'll see. I think.
Do you know what? I would start.
You might be right.
If Grealish is out, which we may not know, I would start Antonio over Watkins any day of the week. Okay. But if Grealish is playing, I wouldn't. But I think it comes down to that. So I think your squad is good enough to get loads of points within that squad that I would save the transfer personally.
And I get a week's more information then going into 29 and a free transfer, so I can make 2 moves going into 29 to get 7 or 8 out, and then even make a move into 30, or maybe even
exactly.
If I'm really set on on getting Mount or Werner, whoever else in 30 when Chelsea they play their home to West Brom in 30. I could even engineer a move using a transfer or two to bring in Werner and captain him, for example, which would be really good.
I think the way that I would look at it, I think it's got low upside, that move, and the Mount move, because if I was to say to you without knowing one of those players is going to get a brace, you would think it would be more likely to be Salah, based on his pedigree and the fact Mount has very rarely got more than 1 attack in return. I don't think I'd have to double check, but it doesn't happen very often. Yeah. So I'm not saying Salah's playing well. I'm not saying he's a great option, but I think that week's more information, given how strong your team is.
Yeah,
I think
right.
I'm a little bit jealous of it. I think the only player you're missing is Kane. But if you're not, I think if you were doing downgrading Mount to bring in Kane, okay, I get that, but I just don't know if the downgrade's worth it.
I don't see a hit this. I don't think it's worth it. Kane may score, right? He'll probably score, but I don't see the point in taking a hit to get 6, 7, 8, 9 points, even 13 points. If he scores 2 and gets 13 points, including bonus, I've got the players who can also score a brace, right? So quite a bit in the chat around Salah. It's a really interesting topic. FPL Fozzie says, I'm worried Salah doesn't start at the weekend. And FPL Jody, imagine Salah scores a brace or better versus Wolves. Stefan L says, Fergie, don't sell Salah. You will be punished. And Daniel Roberts says, Salah's been awful today. A really bad touch as we speak. Daniel Lambert, any KDB FOMO, guys, standout captaincy pick at the moment. We'll touch on captaincy next, actually. That's our next topic. Helen Franks says Salah out, can always get him back if he turns a corner. John Carroll, Salah just missed another sitter. Salah having a shocker. Salah misses another sitter. So at least Salah's getting the chances. That's the only thing is he's definitely.
So he's missed 2 big. He's missed 2 big chances tonight. Well, I'm just looking at the stats now. So Jota's missed 4 big chances. Bloody hell! Wow.
So he's getting in better positions. He's definitely in my wildcard team in 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he could be the way to. He could be the way to go instead of Mount. I don't know if it's really worth that move, but that's why I think the extra week is better, because then in 30, you might... I just think Mount as a punt, I think he's a safe, reliable option rather than an explosive one. And I think someone like Jota, bringing him in the following week could be better.
Yeah, but if I wasn't wildcard, then I would agree. But this is the thing, is I am wildcard in 31, so I am dead end into 30, and Jota's away to Arsenal, which for me is not a great fit.
Yeah, fair enough. Personally. Fair enough.
Okay, let's take a look then and ask the question: who is the best captain for game week 28? So in our hub poll, we put up Bruno at home to West Ham, Kane is away to Arsenal, Gundogan away to Fulham, and Vardy at home to Sheffield United. So top surprised me. I've got to say, it did surprise me. Maybe off the back of recent haul, but Kane away to Arsenal came top of the vote with 41%. Bruno was second with 30.3%. Vardy and Gundogan had 14% each. Adam, I'll ask you the question. Who is the best captain for Game Week 28?
I don't think there's a standout, if I'm being honest. There isn't anybody that I look at. If you're thinking about it, I mean, looking at the fixtures, I think if you've got Leicester have got Sheffield United, haven't they? Yes. So they could be. Vardy has got a really good record again. I think he's scored every time he's played them, hasn't he? So, or he might have scored. I think he got maybe an assist in the one time. So he's got a good record against them. So I think he could possibly be an outside option. In looking at the main options, I think the problem with Chelsea is rotation. So I think just owning them is good enough, and I think it's a little bit risky if they play in the Champions League next week. I think City are coming up against a very good defensive Fulham side, and they've played 2 matches. So whilst I see them winning, I don't see them winning 3 or 4-0.
Agree with that.
So it comes down to me between Bruno and Kane would be I think I would go for one of those. They've both got tough fixtures though. So I think if you own one of them, captain them. If you own both of them, I mean, I own both. I'm going for Bruno. Because I'll tell you the reason I'm going for Bruno. If you look at expected points at home in the Premier League this season, Bruno is top. So I think West Ham's a tough game, and I think it's a sort of game United might struggle in, but I don't think there are many great options this week. So I think I probably will go Bruno.
So we've had a call in the chat, and there was also one on Twitter earlier. What about Martinez? I think it's just a really interesting show. He's not very often captain a goalkeeper, but he's been on fire, and they're away to Newcastle. What are your thoughts?
Not a chance. I've just captained a defender, and look how that turned out. Absolutely no chance. Do you know what? I had Martinez for the first week this week in the season. Trust him to lose his save point and an extra bonus.
That was hard.
I had it, yeah. But it was. I think Villa are giving away chances and laws of averages. He's not going to save everything, is he? No. I just don't. He's been brilliant, but I don't think I could, unfortunately. I don't think. I mean, and I think the ceiling as well is. What do you reckon? Ceiling's probably, excluding penalty saves, is probably 11 points. Yeah. Newcastle aren't going to have loads of shots either, are they? So I think hopefully he'll come away with a clean sheet, but I don't see him being a huge haul. Yeah, I think it is tough this week.
There's a lot of other options actually. So we've had some shouts in the chat for Calvert-Lewin. Bert Van Pettigum has just said Richarlison captain, which they play. If
you own, absolutely.
I think he's a really, really good shout. And Josh Longworth has just agreed with him. Richarlison is a great shout. So Ancelotti came out, I can't remember if it was this week or last week, didn't he? And said that the way they're kind of shaped at the moment is Calvert-Lewin is playing slightly wider, which allowing Richarlison to play as that focal point up front. I think it's a really good shout. I can't argue with that at all. We've mentioned the City boys. Obviously, there's a lot of love for De Bruyne at the moment. Understandably, I do think he could score or assist. I would say that I think this evening is a bit of an anomaly. 2 shots, both scored from within the box. One from like a yard out. Right, Southampton has just been awful at the back. I think we joked last week and said 9-0 and all this stuff. But Southampton, once they concede 1 or 2, they're just awful. So I wouldn't take this evening's result personally as a reflection of how they're going to play moving forward. I think Fulham will be different.
I think there's going to be a lot of clean or not many goals this game week. And I'm just looking at the fixtures. There isn't a single fixture that strikes me as a huge potential haul. If you look at them, I think the way Liverpool are playing at the moment v Wolves, don't see it. I think there won't be many goals in that. United versus West Ham, the cup tie was went to extra time, didn't it, recently, or close to? You've Arsenal, Spurs. I think Leicester v Sheffield United. You got to think Sheffield United are probably down now, so Vardy could be an option there.
He needs Barnes and Maddison. It's clear as day, right? I think
Iniacho's looked quite good actually
yes.
in the last couple of games.
Adam Hopcroft says captain Iheanacho. Let's put that on the record.
Man, do you know what? If I owned him, I would do. I think he's got 2 in 2, hasn't he? But yeah, I'm looking at the fixtures, and like Everton have been very underwhelming in attack in the last few games, so I wouldn't go there. You're not going to captain a Crystal Palace player, are you?
Come on, make your way down. Make your way down. My team are coming up. Go on.
Your team? Oh, what, Leeds v Chelsea?
Leeds v Chelsea. Do you know what? If I had Werner or Mount or even Alonso, potentially even Aspilicueta, but definitely Alonso, Mount or Werner, I would be doing it. I honestly would.
Yeah.
Especially Werner. He's going to get so much space against Leeds. He's going to get so many chances.
He's not guaranteed to play though, is he? That's the with Chelsea at the moment. It's a little bit of a lottery for those attacking spots. I don't think I would go there. I think the way it's between Kane and Bruno for me, based on the players that I currently own.
I think they're the sensible options, and I'll be going Bruno, I think. But if I had a Chelsea attacker, I think I'd be going a Chelsea attacker. If I kept on to Werner, I was thinking of getting Werner this week, or even Mount, as I say. I think they'd be a really good shout this week, personally. Our points prediction tool predicts Vardy top this week.
There you
go. Against Sheffield United. Sheffield United have looked awful. You can't really, other than the fact that obviously Maddison and Barnes has impacted his output. De Bruyne is second. This one's interesting now. Salah is third. Salah, the guy I think they're taking out, is third in the points prediction tool. Sterling is fourth, so Sterling should start, you would guess, on the weekend again, but it's going to be a difficult one. And Kane comes in at fifth. A really good point again from Bert. Well done, Bert. Having a storm this evening. Leeds pitch is too bad to captain any Chelsea player. Do you know what? That's not a bad point. That's not a bad.
Do you know what? That is an absolutely brilliant point.
It is a good
because
point.
when Villa played there the other week, Dean Smith changed his tactics to we hardly played any passes, but it worked. But their pitch is so bad. Shouldn't be allowed really, but.
FPL Geordie says, thinking of captaining Ricardo Pereira, Sheffield United, guaranteed 12 points. I'm not sure they're guaranteed, Geordie, but I think I think he is a good shout. So the table. So this was after Gameweek 26. So this is the Captaincy League table where Adam and I face off, and we also go against the Hub Twitter poll and the Hub prediction tool. Adam, it's not really often I get to say this, but you are top. You are top.
Bloody hell.
20 points. This doesn't include this week's points, obviously, because of earlier. But
I think it was short-lived in that case.
You're joint top with the Twitter poll. Very, very well done. I am third at the moment with 15, and the Hub Prediction Tool is fourth with 13. FPL Fozzie quickly just says, Tielemans under the radar.
Well, do you know what? I was just thinking of Tielemans when we were talking about Iniacho, because that pass, I think that's got to be the pass of the season.
It was awesome, wasn't it?
It was just, for me, I think it is the pass of the season. I know there's been some good ones which have been a little bit more Hollywood in terms of maybe have gone further, but it was just that. It's just when you see something like that, and you can always see he's happy with himself when he's played it as well. It was just absolutely world class, and I think he's somebody
that was unreal. Wasn't it? The weight. It was.
I think as a player, he's gone under the radar this season a little bit. Tielemans, I think he's been exceptional.
And, I think he was last year actually, and
he
the year
was,
before. He was just a bit of donkey work, wasn't he? But
because he plays with Ndidi and Maddison.
Yeah,
I think for opposite reasons they tend to get more of the credit. But I mean that pass was just absolutely out of this world, wasn't it? So. I think Tielemans is an option. I'm not sure I'd captain him though.
Hugo Larson says, anyone target Cap. I think you'd be brave to do that. I mean, if you expect a clean sheet, then go for it. Daniel Robert, I hope he's having a laugh. I can't believe no one has spoken about Willian. Guaranteed 12-pointer against Spurs. And FPL Geordie says Edison's assist was the pass of the season. I think that was against Spurs on it for Gundogan.
It was. Do you know what? That was brilliant, but I think sometimes there was obviously a little bit more space there. I think that it was a bit. I preferred Tielemans, but I can see his point. I think we might need to do a short list for that.
We will. Yeah, you're right. Maybe we'll do like an end of season awards and that, like we would.
I think we should do that.
Many thanks to at FPL Mahomes for doing this league for us. If you don't follow him, give FPL Mahomes a follow.
Someone's just Zach has passed to Chris Wood.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Brilliant, Ed.
Well done, Ed. That's a good one.
I won a bad pass. Okay, so competition time for our YouTube watchers. So every week, all our YouTube watchers have a chance to win a Fantasy Football Hub mug, which is by here. They are fantastic quality. We're selling these too, along with other Hub merchandise in association with that FPL merch. There is a link in the description below, and we're currently running a 20% off discount using coupon code FFHub20, while Hub members can get 25% off. So the winner, I believe, I'm trying to think about. Oh, do you know what? I'm not sure now because of earlier De Bruyne and Mahrez. We may have to check. But I did have Harry Kane down for 19 points. I'm not sure whether that has finished top. We may have to check. But I tell you what, if Mahrez or De Bruyne does finish higher, we will give out another mug. But at the moment, it's Harry Kane 19 points, and Josh C guessed Harry Kane would score the most points. So many congratulations, Josh. You win one of these fantastic mugs. So the competition this week and a chance to win one of these mugs, please like the stream. Like it. Why don't you like it? Just like it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and then comment on who you think will be the top FPL point scorer in Game Week 28. It is limited to one entry each, and if there is a tie, we will do a random draw for the winner. Salah goal, we're hearing, Adam. Salah has scored. Thank you, Geordie, Stefan, Tom, Daniel, and everyone else. Salah has scored.
You should 100% sell him for Mount. I think you should. And I think you've got. Do you know what? You've got to do it. And I think you've talked to me. I think you've got to make that move. And I'll be bringing in a violin.
FPL Geordie says Salah is essential. So should we redo the whole captaincy bit now and say Salah? Everyone's Salah. It's obvious. Let's go with Salah.
Well, do you know what? There was one thing I was going to add for Salah, and it's the non-logical point, and it's but it maybe adds a little bit of fun. It's the last game of the game week, isn't it? Wolves
it is.
Liverpool.
Yeah.
So that always adds a little bit extra to it. So
and it's a Jota assist as well, according to Josh. Thank you very much for that, Josh. Adam, who is your pick for the top point scorer in Game Week 28?
I was going to go Salah.
You can?
No, I'm not going to go
if you want.
No, I won't go Salah. I'm going to go for Vardy, I think.
Vardy, good shout. Can't argue with that. I think after all my huff, puff and bluster this evening, I'm probably going to have to go for Marcus Alonso. So I'm joining Mr. Brown. Also says Alonso. Well done, Mr. Brown. Me and you together. Marcus Alonso is going to get, I think he's going to get an 18-pointer. I think he's going to get a goal, assist, and a clean sheet. There. The at FFH_Green Arrow mini league updates will be back from next week. As for the last 2 weeks, they haven't updated by the time we recorded because obviously we have streamed straight after the games have finished. There. So that is it from us for this week. Thank you so much, as usual, to all our loyal watchers and listeners for your support, interaction, your great questions, and your comments. We really, really, really do appreciate it. Adam, the very best of luck for you for Game Week 28. You need it. You need a bit of luck at the moment. Who are you hanging your hat on this week to bring on the bacon?
I think this is one of the frustrating things. I'm looking at my differentials this week. I've got Lewis Dunk. Lewis Dunk could be the one, I think. If you can get a goal at Southampton and keep a clean sheet, That would be. I'm not too optimistic of that happening.
Okay, fantastic. And where can people get hold of you?
A Hopcroft 13 on Twitter.
Okay, and my Twitter handle is at Fergie222. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel with the podcast versions. Oh, apparently Mane just scored. 2-0 Liverpool. Mane just scored. There we go. See if we can get an assist. If it's a Salah assist, I'm tempted to captain him now.
Changed the tune, haven't you?
I know. Sorry. With the podcast versions on all major podcast platforms. If you like what you watched, please press the like button and remember to subscribe to the channel in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast and leave a comment. If you want more Game Week 28 chat, then FPL Heisenberg and John Nellis will be live on this channel. I think they're doing Friday evening this week. Really, really good stream, guys. If you haven't seen it, join them on the channel. Set the alert so every time either ourselves or Heisenberg and John are on, set them. It's a really, really good stream. They do a Q&A and things like this to help you set your teams pre-deadline. Origi got the assist, by the way, there. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are at FFH_HQ, and our podcast Twitter handle is at FFH_Green Arrow. Make sure you give us a follow. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top player team reveals, points prediction tools, and much, much more. To join the tens of thousands of other fantasy managers and sign up to the hub to use all our amazing resources, just click the top link in the description below. You will not regret it. I know I say every week, you will not regret it. The value you get from being a Fantasy Football Hub member, the articles you get, the team reveals, the tools, so everything that Adam and I use to prepare for this podcast and make decisions on our teams are all off Fantasy Football Hub membership. It is absolutely fantastic. We'll be back next week to look ahead to Game Week 29 and beyond. I'm going to leave you again this evening. So, I always ask Adam at the start of the stream, what colour was your Adam? What colour was your Adam? What colour was your arrow? And this week, so if you didn't see it earlier, I did a bit of a montage for Adam and the run he's been on, so we'll finish off with that. Stay safe all, and may all your arrows be green. Good night all.